Hi, I'm Connor Winterton of Borrowing Tape, and I'm here today with Laurynas Bareiša, the director of the drama film Drowning Dry. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, hello.
Firstly, I'd like us to talk about the process of filming. How long did principal photography take, and how would you describe the process overall?
So it took me about, I think 24, 25 days to shoot it. We shot it in two big chunks, and we have one day in the middle. So we had a summer part, which was like 2.5 weeks, and the 1 week was like by the script. The other 1.5 weeks was a bit more improvisation and changing stuff, reshooting scenes. And then we had the last half a week that was just special scenes that were like car chase, the crash, and fight scenes. And then we had one shooting day after a month, which was with the table with the rotten food, and then we had the winter edition. It's like 1.5 weeks. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I should also say, actually, my opening question should have been, if you could, for our listeners, is just to maybe describe a bit about the film, so a spoiler-free kind of description of the film.
It's like a, it's like I imagined it always like a family drama, like a vacation style film, like where family goes and something happens between them. It's like four adults, like two sisters with their husbands and their kids, but like in the end, it turns out to be bigger and connected to like wider life of theirs.
Yeah, actually, it reminded me a little bit of the film. I don't know if you've seen the film by Lucy Kerr, Family Portrait. Had a very similar. It's not the same kind of narrative, but the approach is quite similar. Uh,
Yeah, it seems to be like a classical drama, like people in a house alone.
yeah. So what was it like working with the cast? And also, I suppose another question attached to that about just working with the cast generally. What do you value most when casting performers and collaborating with them?
I always cast like people who I feel comfortable with and they feel comfortable with me. Like first of all, it's the human like relationship. We connect or we don't connect. So yeah, so if we don't connect, even though I feel that it's maybe a good choice for the actor for the character, I usually pass because like first for me it's like this because it's a long process and usually I I like to change, adapt to the character. So it's easier for me to find someone I'm good at spending time with, and then develop a relationship and character, and maybe change some things that the character is better suited for them. Yeah, I usually work like half of my cast usually is people who I've worked before, and they have some because for this film I also I was a cinematographer and a director on set, so it's usually a bit of a different process than like in standard kind of way of filming. So I need the cast to be kind of able to adjust and not be too like over like protective of their own like process. So because it's kind of a different thing for me. Like I always rewrite in the evenings. I edit, so I want to have them also comfortable with me. So yeah, first of all, if I connect to the person.
Great, thank you for explaining that. And I'd seen that you'd worked with some of the cast before as well. So I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about how those relationships and those collaborations have developed across different projects.
Yeah, so there's like Paulus, whom we met when we were at school, at film school. So he was studying acting. So we developed our relationship through like 10 short films and films. I worked as a DOP and he was an actor. So yeah, we have like like just a collaborative, we just are like friends and that's it. So, but there's also like Gelmina, whom I worked with if at some films as a DOP, but I also admire her as an actor. So I try to like not I don't usually become friends with my actors, but I usually like try to always have them in a comfortable position on set and during the preparation process, during rehearsals. So yeah, so this relationship, even if we don't reconnect between films, when they come back to the films, we're always like very positive on the process and kind of I know I try to keep a good relationship with all of them.
I was going to say it's clearly a positive relationship if they want to come back to work with you and keep collaborating with you as well. I'm a teacher, and what you were saying there kind of resonated a bit in terms of how like you need to have that perhaps a professional boundary, but also at the same time you want to have a good rapport because you're going to get the best out of the people you work with, right?
Yeah, but it comes from my experience because we also extend this kind of relationship to our crew and producer does the same thing. Clementina Remikaitė, she kind of uses the same rules for our crew. So we always work mostly with the same crew, and we try to keep our relationship good with them, so they want to work with us. Uh, in all of our future projects, because when you have like more time, it's easier to collaborate on the next film because we know who you are, we know what, and you save a lot of time. And with actors and crew also, like there's less to explain, less to kind of to catch up to, and it's very useful as that.
Mm, yeah. So Drowning Dry has a fragmented narrative structure. What inspired you to use a more non-linear storytelling approach, and were there any challenges you faced in crafting that kind of narrative or storytelling?
Yeah, because like Drowning Dry was always connected to this kind of how do I analyze this almost tragic memory, like something happened. And for me, like memory is always about repetition, like coming back, it's kind of doubling. You see it once in real life, then you remember it, and remember. And I always knew that it's not going to be a linear structure because it's kind of, for me it's important to analyze and to come back to this event. So in order to come back, you need to have like a place where the time kind of shatters, where's the first jump, because when you kind of get into the film, and I always knew like that I wanted it to have it not to be too early. Like the time jump is at 40 minutes, and it's kind of a challenge, because the whole film shifts. So that
Mm,
was the biggest, like structurally when writing the film and kind of trying to find this good way, good moment to jump, not to be too early, but not also to be like after 1 hour or where the film is too set, just it's like with a, I don't know, with a concrete, if it's set or not set, and it's not too not too uh just the right moment. So yeah, so that was kind of a challenge. And then how do I come back? So it kind of opened for me when I found that the this kind of moment when the time changes or the time shatters is the moment when the trauma for the older sister happens. She has panic attacks, and something was, there was a moment where it started, so I found that moment and kind of based it on it, and also these kind of literal connections from water to water, from ambulance to ambulance, these time jumps, they are quite like there's connections not in time but somehow in meaning or in some kind of um, like literal detail. So I jumped through that, like through this. I tried to kind of connect these parts.
I'm interested just to maybe hear a little bit more about that jump and what effect you would hope that would have on the spectator. So what kind of effect for the audience was a hope for you?
Yeah, I wanted to have an effect that this kind of like this moment was a moment where I thought that this would be the most like difficult for like a spectator, because it's a moment where like you lose all the grounding. Like you thought that it's going to be like this film where it's in one place and it's about the family and inner dynamics, and then the time shifts, and you lose your ground, and then you have to find everything. So in my nightmares, I thought that maybe, half a room leaves, and everybody says fuck it, it's a stupid film. But like but then also it's kind of a translation what this feels, this kind of traumatic, like, because I kind of experienced something similar, and I wanted to translate it into a cinema language. When you kind of lose this touch, when I wanted it to have a very very hard jump, like in Nicholas Roeg films, it was used to be like a very like direct editing, and this kind of has this meaning for me, as when you have this kind of event that always pushes you towards it. You maybe forget it, you maybe move on, maybe nothing happened, because here, like, the girl didn't drown, nothing tragic happened, but it's still the moment that has this heaviness inside your head, inside your how do you remember. So I wanted it to have this kind of aggressive effect towards the audience, and yeah, so that's why it's so sudden, and that's why it had to be later, because if it's after 10 minutes or if it's 15, then you're still in the moment of realizing what the film is. And then when it's at this moment, I think it becomes a bit more hard, to stomach. But it's, for me, it's important for film not to be too. I wanted the film to mutate, to always change, not to have this sense of security, as a viewer. So in order kind of to translate what the film is about.
Yeah, I think it makes it more effective and powerful as well. And you mentioned Nicholas Roeg there, so I wondered if you could talk to us about some of your cinematic inspirations and influences. And did any of those, I know you mentioned Roeg there, but did any of these shape or inform the making of Drowning Dry, the stylistic approach, the narrative, etc.?
As a literal, like I like Roy because I like his like for how he approached editing and how it made you feel. But also, like, from filmmakers, I like to, like, and even when I also teach, and I for students, I always say, like, it's very dangerous to have literal, like, references visual for films, because everybody works in different contexts, in different, like, time and space, and even like technologies. So usually I like to be inspired by the feeling, or like by the how emotionally I feel towards the films, and then be conscious that I will be going to assembling the film from what I have, from what I see, and what I work with. So I don't usually have visual references. I have more of these, like, ideas or stuff that I like, because, like, Edward Yang is a big influence on me. Like, I love this, like, Taiwan new wave. I don't know how we called this period in the 90s, late 80s, where we had these filmmakers. And also, like, actually, like, Takeshi Kitano is a big influence on me. Like, I love also how he approaches editing and thinking through film. How he, like, just skips through time, and then you have to follow him. He doesn't sometimes he the film runs in front of you. So yeah, but usually I try to come on set, and especially, like, on this set, I wanted to go to come with a bit of a free mind, in order to be able to adjust and use my intuition more, because I wanted the film to be shot from this perspective of, like, remembered time, something that you're not in it, it's not first person time, it's more like a third person viewpoint. And I always wanted to adjust, like, that's why I didn't take a camera operator or a cinematographer, because I didn't want to explain some choices I make. I just wanted to do that shot, then maybe try a different shot, and just have this kind of decisions in the moment, because I have a good relationship with the actors, the crew understands it, and we are always prepared. Like, I always prepare for change. I always give my set dresser, my designer, like, options where I maybe will go. We have a primary option, no, we have a shot list and everything, but we also have, like, options for them to be prepared if maybe something changes.
Which makes what I'm getting from that, makes it more of an organic process as well.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there about the third person viewpoint. Whilst watching the film, that reminded me of Michael Haneke and his films. those kind of third person viewpoints where we're slightly distant sometimes from the characters. So yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Haneke. Cachet and Dennis Video, especially, like, yeah, I love those films when I studied. Watched a lot of him.
Yeah. It's a great filmmaker, and thank you for talking to us about that as well. About some of the influences, or maybe not those conscious influences within your organic process. So my penultimate question is about the setting and the lakeside country home, which you could argue serves as quite a poignant backdrop for the story. How did you choose that location?
That was actually like a quite a difficult part of the film because usually it's not like it's not a standard country house in Lithuania because most of these country houses are very ethnographic, like very rustic and stuff. So, and we wanted to have this kind of a place that is between a house and a country. It's a bit of a like I wanted it to have a bit of a place like near the lake, but it's also quite secluded, but to have it more of a universal feel for the house. So it's not a standard Lithuanian country house. And then it was quite a challenge finding it. It had to be just enough country, but also not too detailed for me, because then it could have like, it would have been too much character for a place. So I tried to looking for it a lot because like most of the country houses are very very correct, like like reminded of Middle Ages and all these details and stuff. Like cartwheels and stuff. So
Mhm.
it was quite
Yeah.
a challenge.
So was there? So I'm just thinking, just dig a bit deeper on why a country house. So why was that? Why was that your choice for what happens in the narrative? What stood out to you, of having it set there?
Yeah, I wanted it to be like a bit of idyllic place near the lake, like all of my memories from summer and like my parents and stuff are always near the lake, and this kind of a universal time and place, like a vacation place. And usually like vacation in Lithuania, it's near like a lake, so that's why I wanted it to be a bit misleading, like that it's going to be something just with a house or something with like a positive like relationship toward like the summer kind of a bit idolized, like so that's why I wanted it to be like in this pretty place and kind of and yeah. So
Yeah, which I
just
suppose
yeah.
I suppose kind of exaggerates that juxtaposition between tragedy and then the idyllic setting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, especially like the first evening, it's most of it like it's the sun is setting, it's golden hour, and it's like it's quite a nice place to be, and it leads, I think, it prepares in a good way, prepares for the second day. I think it's kind of yeah, gets your mind off everything.
Mhm. Okay, my final question is about future projects. Are you able to tell us about any future projects that you've got coming up?
Yeah, I'm actually like now I'm editing as a film, so but as a editor, it was directed by my friend, so I'm working on it, and I'm writing also, yeah. But it's like we we had a project application for pre-production, yeah. So it's like yeah, yeah, I'm working, yeah.